Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about overnight success. So let's jump right into it. So we've all seen those stories of those overnight successes, those people who seemingly struck gold and didn't seem to have to put in a whole lot of work. But oftentimes what you actually see behind the scenes is that people have put in years of dedication to master their craft. And so today I just want to jump into what it looks like to actually master that craft that would fit into you building your vocation and being able to really get yourself into a place where you are growing your income and able to translate that income to savings. So school was one of those aspects that I had to work overtime for. It was something that I actually had to dedicate more than probably the average person in order to succeed in. And we all remember those classmates who didn't have to study, could step in on finals day, could knock out the test in a record time and pass and move on with life. But I was not one of those students. I was one of the students that had to study long hours in order to not only take in information, but understand the information that was being given to me. So why I say that is the fact that oftentimes you see an outcome, you see someone succeed in a certain area, but you don't see all those hours of studying. You don't see all those hours behind the scenes of them working their tail off to make something happen that otherwise, may come easier for other people. So there's something called the 10,000 hour rule. And what that means is that someone who has spent at least 10,000 hours on a certain craft has then mastered that craft. And so that's basically taking someone from a place of a novice to an expert. And with that, a 10,000 hour mark basically looks at, okay, if somebody spends a certain number of hours per day, per week, per month, over a certain number of years, they will be able to become an expert in their craft. Now, with that, when you are looking at the full-time position of an individual being about 2,000 hours a year, and you break that down into that 10,000 hour rule, you're looking at about 5 years for someone to master a craft. So oftentimes these trades are something that you are not able to work full-time on. It may be a side hustle. It may be mastering a hobby. It may be your job itself, but your actual focus time on the trade that you're working on mastering may only be a fraction of the total amount of time you're at work. And so with that, you're looking at the 10,000 hour rule from a standpoint of however many hours of dedicated time you have to master that craft. And so oftentimes it does actually take people a lot longer than 5 years to master a craft because of the fact that they may not be able to do it full time. So what happens when people are actually hopping jobs and they are going from one position in one company to the next, and they are seemingly hopping the steps on the ladder. So what does that cause when it comes to the 10,000 hour rule? And oftentimes what people don't realize, and what I didn't realize, was the fact that even though I was changing jobs every 2 or 3 years, because that's the millennial way, and I was gaining that experience and then taking that and applying it to the next position and growing, from a standpoint of the position and the pay and so on and so forth, that didn't necessarily mean that there was a direct correlation of me being able to spend enough time in that position to be comfortable with the position to then really get into that focus time to master that craft. So I think you don't actually find this until you build some margin to be able to reflect. And reflecting basically enables you to look back and be like, okay, what missed opportunities did I have? What things did I learn that now I can adjust going forward to seize opportunities as I see them coming down the turnpike? And so with that, it's important to look at, okay, if I want to master a craft, I need to be dedicated to it. I can't be hopping around. I need to be focused in on growing in that area and being able to remove distractions that don't have to do with building that specific trade that I want to grow in. And if that is your vocation, if you are in the vocation that you know that you are wired to be in, that is something you were wired to do, then you should have that comfort of being able to lean in and being able to focus in on that vocation, focus in on being the best that you can be, becoming world class at what it is you do for a vocation. So instant gratification has forced us into this place where we don't want to wait necessarily to gain that education. We don't want to necessarily wait to get that experience. And we try to just hack our way along, the process in order to get enough information in enough areas so that we can advance. But the problem with that is the fact that this is an area that you, although you can seek out mentors to pour into you, to share in their experience and what they've walked through, and you may be able to volunteer in certain areas and have maybe an internship or something like that helps you in that skill set. You still have to learn the skill set, and oftentimes I'm seeing that people are trying to jump the ladder and not learn the critical pieces along the way in order to truly be able to be successful in that vocation for, from the standpoint of a career over the long haul. So oftentimes we see these overnight successes or seemingly overnight successes, and we just assume that they leapfrog their way to whatever it was, whatever they did accomplish. And when we are looking at taking new ground when it comes to getting on the offense, when it comes to growing your income and turning that into wealth, when it has to do with your vocation, it's important for you to look at how you can master a craft and not just hop around based on what's popular and what pop culture is telling you and what the news is telling you and everything else that could be distracting, but trying to figure out, okay, what can you actually become world class at? And so my call to action today really comes down to looking into how you can master your craft, how you can lean in further to make sure that you are gaining this skill set that you need in order to grow that vocation. And whether that's getting a mentor, whether that's going back to get some kind of certification or some other learning avenue, it's important for this aspect to be thought through, to be processed through, being that the vocation will have a direct correlation in your ability to build wealth. If this information is helpful to you, explore the Margin membership, where me and my team will help you take the information you're learning and apply it to your life and your finances. I've built an interactive course that allows me and my team to come alongside people like you to help you revamp your finances and build margin into your life. Click the link in the description below for more information.